chat with Kathryn Haynes. Go ahead and bring yourself on here, Kathryn, if you would. We
There
love.
she is.
Thank you for so much for joining us. How's it going over there? Where are you at again?
I am in Ottawa, Tennessee. So most people
Oh,
have no idea. It's right near Chattanooga. I'm
Chattanooga.
okay.
about 20 miles, yeah. But Ottawa for the locals.
Is that somewhere where they make the whiskey, or is that a different place?
Yeah, Tennessee whiskey, Chattanooga.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. All right. Good to know. Well, I may have to come visit one of these days.
definitely.
Yeah.
Good
So,
barbecue, good whiskey.
barbecue. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Texas may have you beat on that. Maybe.
Oh, they do. There's
There's
no doubt
always
about
a
it.
challenge. Always a
Yeah.
challenge between Tennessee and Texas barbecue. That's for sure.
Well, anyway, thanks for joining us. We Eric and I are just kind of gonna kind of go back and forth and ask you questions and read off questions. By the way, just a reminder, everybody on the webinar, please feel free to type in any questions to Kathryn or any questions about the ABS opportunity in general. We're happy to answer those, and we'll just kind of answer them as we go here. But why don't we just get started, Kathryn, with just kind of telling everybody your business background and experience and what kind of led you to this point of starting a business with ABS.
Sure. So I won't take up the whole time talking about my history, but my formal education is of a chiropractor. And so for the past 18 years, up until January actually of this year, is when I stopped practicing altogether. However, through COVID, there was obviously some shifting, just like everybody in the world had to start shifting. And our company, the company I was working with, was growing exponentially. So it was fantastic. We were at a high level. Pandemic hit, started spending a lot more time at home, and realized, what could I do to further benefit this other company, which is a healthcare company. And so I just started looking up, where are we weakest? And it was just like, boom, our billing. It was the weakest. We had 7 locations, 30 employees. Growth was really strong, but we were the weakest in the billing. So that's when, the more I was looking up billing, that's when I would see ABS and I would see Adam's name, and it kept coming up. And I was like, well, what is this about? So then I started listening to whatever you would put on the World Wide Web, started following you on LinkedIn, became the stalker, like, let me hear about this billing.
Yeah.
And there was also other transitions happening at that time where I realized I also wanted to be a business owner. And I didn't necessarily want to go back to, at this point, I wasn't seeing patients anymore. I was just helping with the operations of the company. And I didn't want to go back to being bound to the actual treatment rooms. And I saw freedom in this. I saw, well, there's definitely a need. If we're a company that's this big in this world, in the chiropractic world, that is a big group. I know in other industries it's not so big, but in our industry, it's a big group. If this big group could use some more help in the billing world, I could probably help a lot of other offices, a lot of other practices too. And man, that was true. So I wound up going through ABS, got certified, and now I have my company called Profit Max.
Wow. So you're saying that you were part of a large chiropractic group that had multiple locations. So how many doctors?
There were 12 doctors,
12 doctors.
7 locations, and just a total of 30 employees.
And you were a doctor at one of those locations for a while, or?
I was with that company for about 15 years. And when I started, I was an associate at one of the offices. And then just through growth, I helped grow that office, and through growth, transitioned to, the company was never really big on titles, but it was essentially a COO role where I stepped out of seeing patients and I helped the individual offices grow. And the part that needed the most help is actually in the billing. So the industry that we are in and the opportunity that we have to help healthcare practitioners, it really is significant. And I don't know how much you want to go into it, but I could just talk about the reasons that people are calling us, the colleagues that are opening up to me about feeling stuck, feeling
Wow.
that they are embarrassed, that they don't want to tell people how much they don't know about billing, or they have a biller and they can't get rid of her because she owns the billing. She's the only one that knows it. So they have a poor company culture because of it. And they're like, how do I make that better? And anyway, we provide a really, really important service. And I'm really, clearly I'm pro ABS and I'm pro billing.
Tell me, so just to clarify, how are you guys getting your billing done at that point, and what type of solutions were you looking for to solve issues, I guess? Was it in-house billing with the team or
It
outsourced?
is.
What, in-house?
It was in-house.
And it just wasn't going well. It just you.
It was going, but like at the level. So if we were to break down the operating systems of the company or of an office, of a practice, and it's, you know, one of my main things is how do I make this 1% better, right? So we would go through the operating systems, the level that we were improving all the other operating systems, whether it be leadership and management and structure, reports and analytics, we were growing those aspects of the operations and not the billing, because no one really wanted to touch it. The doctors don't want to touch it. They don't want to deal with it.
Right.
If they, and neither did we. So we started looking at the software. Do we need to upgrade our software to a platform that is easier for people to use? That's a big thing for me. Like my pillars are to provide patient-focused care in a healthy company culture with a strong financial backbone. So now when we were looking at the software we were using, it was not efficient for the team. So the culture, the stress levels were higher. So it's like, all right, how do I make this 1% better? And that's, I actually called ABS. I talked with Tim. I talked with Cynthia. These are just resources that you guys provided to me, which was awesome to be able to just call and say, hey, this is what's going on. Which software do you recommend right now for this situation? And you guys gave me options. They wound up switching to one of those softwares, and it made it easier. And so we started to slowly just implement systems and processes to make the billing easier for that company.
So you kept it in-house, but you.
They did. So now here's the funny part. So I left in January. Guess who's doing their billing now?
You are.
Probably you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
okay.
for you.
Okay. So they basically just transitioned from an in-house team to using you when they knew that. So you told them, hey, I'm going to start my own business doing this stuff, and I want to do it for you guys, and one thing led to another.
Correct. Well, at that point, I told them I was leaving. I was starting my own business. Good. I mean, we left on good terms. We were there. I mean, I love everybody there. We definitely didn't burn any bridges. We had, kept a good relationship. So when I left to open my own company, I didn't really do any marketing to them. It wasn't much longer. It was this month actually, that they called me and said, hey, we're thinking of switching. Could we start one office at a time?
Oh.
And
wow,
do our billing. So
yeah, so they just reached out to you because they knew you and they liked you and they trusted you.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. And it's great that we're hearing the story that, here you got a provider in medicine understanding from a, the difficulty that doctors don't necessarily get into the weeds on the billing side of it. They're great caregivers, great providers. They do great systems. But if you could, because I've talked about this in the past, can you tell me, or maybe you can share with us a little bit about the care given to a patient whenever do you feel like, I'm asking a different way. Do you feel like the care of a patient starts to wane down a little bit whenever there's financial trouble within the office?
Absolutely. I mean, Eric, as soon as you start dealing with finances becoming, whether it be an obstacle in conversation or it's an obstacle in being able to upgrade from systems to even the furniture to the people, like finances play a significant role directly and indirectly. So if it's hard for a patient to be able to, I think maybe you were asking one question and maybe I'm answering another. Is it my understanding you're talking about the difference between insurance and cash, or just about revenue
No,
getting in the
I
way?
mean the care given to a patient. Do you think it is lacking because there's so much trouble in their finances? Do you think that if I go to a doctor, I want a doctor to pay attention to me. That's where I'm kind of getting at. But if I know he or she is distracted, you can, as a patient, you kind of pick that up a little bit. Do you feel like that's what some of the things that you see with other doctors whenever they're so worried about how they're going to pay bills, but they're also trying to take care of patients?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I'll say, I'll do a lot of presentations for healthcare practitioners, and I start out by just acknowledging how we got into this industry, most healthcare professionals, to care for patients.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're incredibly well supported in in support to care for patients, whether it be products that we are now delivering to patients, tools, techniques. Where we are underserved is in the business of a healthcare practitioner. Nobody is talking to them about the billing. Nobody is providing the information to them in a way that they feel comfortable letting you know, hey, I don't feel like I'm doing a good job because I can't pay my bills. And so just opening that communication of one, believe it or not, doctors need to know that it is okay for your business to make money.
Yeah.
It is okay. Some people will feel guilty if they're focusing on money and
Right.
not the patient. And there's a way where you can do both.
Yep.
And if they don't have the finances under control and they can't pay their bills, they're not going to be able to care for patients either.
Yep. That's exactly right. Yeah, we find a lot of times doctors do not think of themselves as a business at all.
Right.
Right.
They don't go to school for it. They just they want to care for patients, and they don't want to have to worry. Like you said, they don't want to worry about all that other stuff.
Yeah.
The question, you kind of talked about this a little bit, and I don't want to get too in the weeds, but it sounds like that you either already knew or discovered that you yourself were good at analyzation and looking at data. And so Alana is asking, how did you identify that billing was a weakness for the healthcare practice? What were the indicators or markers?
So I love that. Well, I love that you asked that question, because the answer is not what I think everyone thinks it comes down to just numbers, and it didn't for me, because when I was trying to make this transition, it actually came down to the team's energy. So if I were going to honor what I set the parameters for the office, which is patient-focused care in a healthy company culture with a strong financial backbone, I was going to honor all of it. So when I was looking at the operating systems, you would look at the finances, right? But you would also talk to the team. How much stress does it cost you to send claims? Let's talk about rejections. How much stress and energy when I say the word rejections and work on it? And that is where we found all the problems. So sending the claims, I just went through the general process. We went through ABS. They give you the process of what happens and how to process claims. So it was, sending claims, it's like, oh, that's easy. That's easy. All right. What about posting payments? Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Talk to me about rejections. And then it's like almost like they didn't want to, because they're getting most of the time, they're overwhelmed. The front desk, the person that's doing the billing, the list that they have of tasks to do just keeps building and building and building and building and building. And when they have rejections to follow up on, or an EOB that they know didn't pay correctly, it gets put into a pile of, I'll get to that as soon as I can. And that pile just keeps getting bigger. Their list keeps getting longer. And then that is really essentially a stack of money that is just being left on the table. So that was the trigger. Okay, well, I can't just tell them to do more work. They're working really hard. How do we make this easier for you? And so it was learning the systems of the billing, learning the different softwares and which ones were more efficient. So the answer was in what was making it hard for the staff, not necessarily a dollar number, which wound up going up.
That's incredible. So you were not only analyzing the numbers, but you were analyzing the emotions.
Yeah.
I've never heard it put that way before. That's
excellent.
Cool. That's really cool. Wow. Alana says that's an awesome explanation. Thank you.
You got it, Alana. Anytime.
Yeah. Well, you said everything that I think everybody on the call really needed to hear. That really was one of the most important things that they could have heard. Because I think obviously a lot of people are getting into this and they think, well, they've already got a biller, so they've got somebody pushing out the claims, and then probably got somebody posting the payments. But it's that middle part, as you said, whether it's the claims that are being rejected or those explanation of benefits, those EOBs that are just sitting there and they need to be adjudicated, or they need to be reviewed, and they need to see, if there's any money being left on the table. That's why, Patrick used to say, doctors, they don't do their own window washing. They don't do their own office cleaning. They don't do these things. Why are they trying to do a job as what takes a full-time medical billing company to do? Why are they trying to do clinicals and they're trying to get paid at the same time? Those are two different types of businesses. And if you can lead a doctor to get that out of their office, how much better they're going to be.
And once they do, the sigh, the relief that they get, and think about it, the fact that they can now focus more on their patients, on their life inside of the office and outside of the office, just by upgrading their billing system.
Yeah.
And so it really can transform an office and help it to, I like to not say a capacity is what I like to use. It'll increase capacity, whether it be capacity of revenue, it could also be capacity of time. So if someone, you want them to be able to say, yes, hey, we're going to go on a summer vacation. Do you want to go? And if they're like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can go on a vacation, then we need to increase some capacity. How can we increase capacity? Hey, I have this great idea. I can't even think about that. All right, well, you're at max capacity. How do we increase capacity? And what the billing does that we're able to provide for these offices, it increases capacity. And then they can use that to grow in whatever way, personally, professionally, however they want. So I think it's really important. Wow. That's how I see it anyway.
You're hitting on stuff that I haven't even really thought of. That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
And then, I know we got a couple of things coming in, Adam, but really it kind of gives back. I really want to talk to the participants that are on here today. It's an amazing thing whenever you can start working with a doctor like you've done here, and what better healthcare comes to the community whenever that part of it is no longer on the top of their minds. I've talked to a lot of doctors, what's the thing that keeps you up at night? And a lot of them is the billing, the revenue, and are they going to get audited by CMS?
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh, but it's just like, yep, that's what they're asking.
That's what they're at. And so imagine going to work every day to see a patient that has problems all the time, and you got this in the back of your head. You can't deliver the best healthcare that you can if you could get that off of your mind.
Right.
So great explanation so far. Wonderful.
Thanks.
Yeah. Now, I just kind of want to dig in a little bit more about why you chose ABS. Were you well versed in billing or coding or anything? No, because
No,
there's an in-house team, but you weren't really a part. You weren't doing the work,
right.
obviously.
So I started out doing the work of it and then ended up actually managing it from a bigger perspective, but I knew the very, very, very basic codes, like beyond basic.
Yeah.
And so when I was listening to a podcast, your dad was on it, he was one talking, you were on it, Adam. And when you talked about training with a live person, that was important to me. If I have questions, if I need a concept explained deeper, the fact that I was able to communicate with somebody live, it wasn't that I was just purchasing just a webinar, right? Not that webinars don't have their value, but that was something for me personally because it was such, yes, I was in the world of medical, but I was not in the world of billing, and it's a different world, right? They are two different worlds under the same roof. So the fact that there was somebody live that was going to be teaching me, and actually did, and I had Cynthia, who I adore, that was a big one. The lifetime support was a big one for me, because I knew that there might be a gap from when I would officially start Profit Max, and when I would leave where I was. So I knew there would be a gap. So having that lifetime support was a big one for me, because I didn't know what questions were going to be coming up, and I knew I would always have somebody to call. Heck, I started in 2022 is when I finished the training, and I called Tim, I think a couple weeks ago, to ask him a question, or I called ABS, and I think both you, Adam and Tim, answered it. That's a couple years later, so that was important to me.
Yeah, Tim is our VP of support.
Yeah.
For those
Okay, well, that would make sense.
For those who aren't aware on the webinar today. Yeah, and
And
the name's Cynthia.
sorry.
She's our lead trainer. So yeah, so it sounds like you started out maybe thinking, like you said, maybe thinking about just upgrading the software and that was it. But I guess you kind of evolved into starting to think in terms of starting your own business, providing some of these services, and that's where ABS came into play and fit in. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, exactly.
So okay, so let's talk about that. So you went through the training 2020, 2022.
2022 is when August of 2022. Yes.
So less than 2 years ago, a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell us the story about your first client. How long did it take to get that client? What kind of marketing methods do you think worked for that one?
Well, I didn't get my first client until June of 23. And there was that gap. I did not do any marketing. I was also, very full-time at another job. Wasn't sure if I was going to fully commit to this. I was in that limbo period.
Yeah.
But during that time, I did create a LinkedIn account. I did start connecting with as many people that I already knew that I would be a top tier client, that would be, I took a lot of the advice that was given in ABS to create that top tier, identify who my target market was. And so I just started building connections and connections and connections and connections. And then you guys also recommended a power partner,
right?
Where it was just another technique to help meet and help promote your business. So one of the connections was another healthcare practitioner, and I had said a comment about I get to help people now through other people's hands. And he immediately responded. He said, I want to do that. I want to help people through other people's hands. I want to step away from the day to day. And so, let's talk. And I brought up the power partner, and he said, okay, I want to be a part of this. I want to help healthcare providers. And, you may or may not like to hear what I'm about to say, is I would say, and I still believe this, I do not love insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
I love doctors getting paid for the services they provide.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that I am for the doctor. I am not for the insurance company.
For sure. Yeah.
And he was on board with that. So he became a power partner, and he actually found our very first client. So I'm in Tennessee, and our first client is in Indiana.
Oh, okay. So real quick, tell people what a power partner is to you. What does that mean?
So a power partner is someone essentially is a representative of your business, and they will, I guess another term for it that is more is like lead gen, but they're not healthcare, they're professionals, and they are creating relationships, whether it be through BNI, whether it be through somebody they know, and they handle the initial discovery call. Then he brought me in on a call with them. We determined that we were a good fit to be able to help them. And now my power partner received a commission from getting this referral to us. And he gets an ongoing commission as well for the next 5 years while while this is a client. And so he's out there trying to get more, and he has. So that was my first.
So when you closed that deal with that practice, there was a setup fee that you collected from the practice, and you shared a little bit of that with this power partner.
Exactly.
And then you're charging a percentage for doing the billing for the practice.
Exactly. Yes. And then the power partner gets a small percentage of what we invoice. So he turns somewhat into a customer relations or a client relations, because he built a relationship with this office.
Yeah.
And now he helps maintain that relationship too. And he can do it in his own way. We kind of set our right and lefts, our parameters. And it's been a great relationship. We're talking about actually putting on a mastermind event.
Oh.
And he wants to be a part of it, and how can I help? And so it was kind of incredible to have that be my first find. Yeah. Because he's been just a great support. And I wouldn't have thought of calling it a power partner if it hadn't been for the training from you guys.
And what's really awesome is this is not a traditional franchise, so there are no restrictions in where you have clients. You can have clients any part of the country. I was going to ask a question and I lost it. What type of practice was it? Your first client? Was it big or small or medium or?
So it was medium. They collect about $65,000 a month. They provide both cash and insurance services.
Single doctor?
Pardon?
Multiple doctors or?
3 doctors.
3 doctors. And what specialty was it? Is it?
It's integrated, so it's both medical, chiropractic, and physical therapy.
Okay, so man,
awesome.
That was pretty decent first account. 3 doctors.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exciting.
That's great. You want to read off some questions, Eric?
Yeah. Kind of going way back, RD is asking if the rejected claims were the biggest issue. Didn't that then point to problems with the original claim submissions?
So rejections, yes, that is easy to find in the clearinghouse, but improper payment amounts, that takes a little bit more of the digging typically.
Yeah.
And that's where, so I guess I was using the word using the word rejections, but I should have just said in general accounts receivable. So there would also, so that would be a pile of rejections. And sometimes this happened too. Remember, we're across multiple locations, and when you're providing billing, you're not just providing it for one location, it's going to be multiple. So the level of expertise or the level of knowledge of that front desk is going to be like off the charts, right? So some of these rejections that are incredibly obvious to somebody are not to others. So a rejection where the clearinghouse blatantly tells you, hey, you're missing a date of service, it's not going through. This person in particular did not know what DOS. They just didn't know what it meant. So they didn't do anything with it. And so it became, in that case, a training, an educational part to get this front desk up to speed. And just for that office to acknowledge, it's not that they did anything wrong or bad or being insubordinate. They didn't know. So let's put a good training program in place.
Yeah.
And so great question. It's just, that's where the understanding part comes in. Like, just if they can trust us with letting us know what's going on, we can help provide solutions instead of them, because they will be embarrassed. Like, I don't want to tell you, I don't really know anything, is what they'll say.
Right.
Well, kind of in line with that, Rachel's asked the question, how does the front office feel whenever the doctor does finally outsource that billing? Is there some relief, or is there a little hesitancy?
Depends on the office again. If it's done well, it's beyond relief, because it's not all they do. They're multitasking, and they have patients right in front of them checking in, patients in front of them checking out, the phone ringing. The practice usually has other ambitions, right? If they're even looking to call you for help, you're either going to get the low end where they're struggling, or they're very ambitious. We have one that's developing just this whole protocol, and it's taking a ton of attention. They're a big rehab facility, and they're trying to create this tracking system for rehab. But that means that nothing else is getting attention, and that's falling on the staff. So the tasks just keep building up for the staff. So if it's done well, and you show up as, we're here to help make your job easier, it goes over really well. If it's, I'm the new biller in town, that doesn't usually go over really well.
Do you find that most smaller practices, or even larger, they don't have a dedicated billers? They have people that are doing the billing and all the other stuff that you mentioned, the front office? Is that what you usually see?
I do. And even if they have a title of a dedicated biller, it's also and.
Yes, also and. Yeah, always.
And I've
Especially
heard
when somebody else doesn't show up for work, they go, "Hey, you got to get that room prepped."
Yeah,
exactly.
I've heard that there's a pretty big shortage of billers and coders, and they can't really pay them what they want to stay on board for very long, and it's just kind of been a struggle for them to get that done in-house.
It is. And when you let them know that you will cost less than a full-time employee, and that, I think it's your where your breakdown, and you put it, is there going to be like bonuses and taxes, and there's so many other bills that come along with an in-house person, sick days, PTO. But the fact that you are able to provide that service at less than the cost of a full-time employee, and they get a better job, like you get more done. I mean, it ends up being a no-brainer. They just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And you have to just bring that to the surface.
Did you use some of our tools to educate them on that, what you just mentioned? Like, look at what you're actually paying here. Did you do that?
I did. I did.
Yeah, so that's part of our process for those on the webinar. We have a whole series of steps, marketing steps. It's a practice analysis, demo, proposal, agreement, all that stuff. So you're
definitely. I mean, the practice analysis and the proposal. I was so annoying to you guys in the beginning about proposals. Can you take a look at this one? Can you take? And you guys were so great. and helped me with that. But I used your tools and I used your minds and I used your time. So thank you.
Well, yeah, I'm glad because a lot of people, they actually, for whatever reason, we have people that put together their own proposals and they don't let us review it. And I mean, there's been so many times where it's been, they end up, maybe getting the deal done, but for far less than they should have charged, or,
Yeah.
just something silly, that's like, just let us look at the proposal. This is what we do, we do this all day long. So, yeah. Clifford is asking, what competitive obstacles did you find to be most challenging, like direct competitors or other billing options available to doctors, etc.? Did you ever find yourself bidding against other billing companies, or what have you found out there?
So I haven't had that yet. Most of the time it's been us taking over for a billing company.
Like you
But
aren't
I
doing
have
it
not.
well, and the doctors want you to do it? Yeah.
Yeah, so which by the way, the number one reason was communication, they
Hmm.
would say. So that was actually working for me. That wasn't necessarily an obstacle. I think it's getting the either the practice manager or the doctor to acknowledge that their their billing could be better and you could help them. It's because they don't even want to go into that world. It's the billing. It's all of a sudden they
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest obstacle is getting them to. They don't even need to understand it. They just need to allow us to take a look and then open their eyes to it. And then they're all in. Then they want to know more. Then they want to know how to make it better. But once getting them to let you just, hey, let me just take a look and let's see if I can help you. If I can't, I'll let you know. If I can, I'll show you where.
Mhm.
And that's been the biggest obstacle for me anyway.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
Ron, yeah, here's one. Is important? This is a great question because I figured this was going to come up because you are a provider, a doctor.
Yeah.
Is it important to be a doctor to get into the medical billing profession, or do you think a person with a business background can get into this business with the help of ABS through their certification?
You do not need to be a doctor. That they are not calling me because I'm a doctor. They don't want me treating patients. They want me finding money. And so
There you
my,
go.
yeah. So my selling point is I have a billing team and I have a billing team that knows billing and they know like the way our business model, I don't do the billing. I have a billing team. And so I think you having a business mind is what they actually need. And that's actually what I promote is that you know how to care for patients, right? Let us help you care for your practice so it can serve you as well. So you having a business mind, you have a leg up on every, I don't want to say every, but every healthcare practitioner. That business mind is what they're after.
Yeah. Good answer there. Jonathan was asking about the power partners. Can you find power partners outside of LinkedIn? Oh yeah, definitely.
Outside of what?
Oh yeah.
Outside of LinkedIn, how do you find power partners is what Jonathan's
Yeah,
asking.
that's yours. That's the LinkedIn does not own it. That's just how I happen to have found somebody.
Yeah.
No, but
Did you do
you can
any
own
act-
that power.
did you do any actual physical networking at like BNI or Chamber of Commerce or anything like that?
Not for this. Not for this. Not that I wouldn't. It's just it evolved a little differently for me. Continue events were big. Um, uh, like they have a lot of trade shows and expos.
Mhm.
So, my power partner would go to those where you have a booth and just trying to get someone to talk to you and open up. And you have to remember, it's not that you want everybody, you want your person.
Yeah.
So trade shows and events are more where we put some of our time.
Yes. Speaking of that, Kathryn, you are not aware, I don't think, but we are about to roll out. We have come up with some brand new trade show booths that you can rent.
Oh, really?
You have to do is pay shipping. We have a full size one and a tabletop one.
Oh, Do you have, I want to see these.
I'll send you a picture. Yeah. So we're just about to roll out the way to get it ordered on our support site. And so all you have
So
to do
you
is
will,
pay shipping.
you'll ship it right to the event space.
I think we might be able to arrange that. Yeah, we're working out the details. Yeah, but probably, especially
Because
for you.
just about all of the events have like a FedEx built in.
Mhm.
And what I would see were these bigger companies, but they own all the equipment. The fact that you can rent them from you is fantastic. So they don't have to travel and lug all the equipment around. The fact that it can be shipped,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. So I'm probably going to get in trouble for mentioning that, but we can go ahead and work something out for you if your power partner, literally, if they have anything booked in the next several months, we can arrange that for you. Yeah, full size or
Okay.
you pick. Yep.
That's awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll send you some pictures. Yeah, so Jonathan, we in our training we'll teach you how to form power partners all over the place. I mentioned Business Networking International. There's lots of different networking groups that you can go face to face and meet people. And like Kathryn mentioned, the trade shows and special events and things. We show you how to find out where those are happening in your area and things like that. So yeah. RD is asking, how many demos of the system would you say you do in a week or month for prospective doctor clients? Are you still really actively marketing for new clients right now? Or are you still in that, or are you just kind of in that managing growth phase right now?
We're experiencing some growing pains right now. So we have currently for this next week not taking any new clients and just figuring out what can we stream. I'm really big on streamlining. So we are taking this week to streamline processes so that we can take on more clients in a more profitable way. To answer your question about demos, I really don't do them. One of the things we do is we use whatever software that practice has. If they want a software recommendation, we do give them one and we will do a demo. But as far as demos per day, for us, it would more like, I would say be like one, if that a month, is as far as the demos of the software go.
So you know that we do the demos for your doctors, right? You know that, right?
No. How did I miss that? How did I miss that?
Yes, we do.
Oh, goodness. Yeah,
Man,
This
I'm
is
glad
great.
I'm
She's
on this
learning as we
call.
go.
yeah, that's one of the big things that we do for you. So all of our partners, we have several different software partners. They will all do a full system demo on your behalf for your prospect clients. Yes.
Okay, I will write that down.
So
We have
put a note down on that one. Yeah, you definitely want someone who is an expert in the system talking with the doctors, and that's what we do. Yep.
awesome. Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. What else we got here? Eric, what do you think?
Let's see. I think we dealt with the trade show. Let's see.
I have one here. Edward is kind of mentioning something about the major issue is when you start the training, the client will be asking for your experience and such. And this is just my observation. Okay, so Edward, Kathryn, tell us, how did you kind of approach that whole concept of you don't have any clients, you just started. How did you get over that hurdle, in getting your clients signed up?
Well, that's where Myrma comes in and Dr. Vicky comes in, and just the access that we have to the team of coders and billers that have been doing it for a long time. So pretty much I relied on ABS's experience and my access to ABS. So Dr. Vicky is a medical doctor that's associated with ABS, and she writes a letter on your behalf and just validating you and validating your service. So I had that letter out at the events, and I would reference it as if I knew her, maybe more than I did, but hey, and that usually, Yeah. And really, I learned the less I said, the better, instead of trying to over justify. I'm certified by MIRMA.
Yeah.
Dr. Vicky vouches for us, and I have a team of coders and a team of billers that I have access to. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, MIRMA is the organization that I founded to certify our business owners. So when you finished the training that you went through, Kathryn, you received a certificate, which is called a CMRM, a Certified Medical Revenue Manager. I think Eric's going to talk a little bit more about it. There's a picture of it there. But the organization that we came up with is the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, so that you actually have an organization to point doctors and other people back to, so they can see that you went through some sort of program and have some sort of credentials. So that's what we did to help build up your credibility. And of course, you're not gonna lie. I mean, you're gonna tell them, hey, I'm a new office here in the area. We just opened up. But like you said, we're a part of a 30-year-old nationwide network of offices, and we have a whole team of people that does everything you can imagine related to revenue cycle. So you're right. It's just all in how you position and present yourself, and that's what we teach in the training. So good observation there, Edward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Rochelle is asking, how do you find about trade shows? We'll teach you that in the training. We have different resources where you can go and just Google and find trade shows, but they don't have to be in your neighborhood. I mean, they can be all over the place. So that's the cool part about this business.
I think that's about it so far. I mean, folks, if you want to type in one maybe last minute question, and as we kind of get ready to start wrapping up, Kathryn, why don't you just kind of share? I mean, obviously you've been where most of these people are, on that side of the webinar where you're typing in questions. What would be your biggest recommendation for anybody that's looking to move forward, or they've got any questions, or what kind of advice would you give the folks that are on the webinar today?
Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. No one's going to care more about your day and about your what you do with your time than you are. And the fact that you are considering doing something on your own for yourself, I think I admire that. And you have a team behind you to support you. So invest in yourself. I had to say that to myself over and over. Invest in yourself. You can do this.
And also have the attitude that you have, because you are always so positive, every time we talk on the phone, and you can that just comes across through the phone that you believe in yourself. I mean, that's a big thing. That's a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of people that really struggle with that. That's why my dad, the founder of the company, has written books on, positive self-talk and believing in yourself and all that kind of good stuff. I don't know if you read that book, but I know we're right at we're almost at the end of the hour here, but I did want to kind of finalize. I forgot to ask you one question, and RD asked the question I was going to ask is, can you just quickly summarize where your business is today as far as, so you've been doing this for a little bit less than 2 years. Where are you at in terms of your company size, your staff that you have, number of clients? Just quickly summarize that.
Sure. So yes, it was 2 years, but we got our first client in June. So we have not officially, since first client to present, it hasn't been a full year. But since I started, it's been about 2 years. We have 18 practices under our care.
Wow.
I have four full-time billers and 3 part-time billers. They're all remote. And started out, so I fell victim to what Adam said in the very beginning about giving away my services too early, like for too cheap before I had them reviewing my proposals. So if I include that in the average, my average revenue, or when I invoice, is $1,100. If I remove them, it's $2,200. And so, there's only a small handful, but they throw off the averages. So don't start doing your own proposals. Let Adam help you out, and you'll have a higher average per client too.
So what was the 2,200? I missed that.
If I take away that handful of people that are paying way too little, then I won't even offer the offer I was doing for that. That's the average if I remove the outliers.
The average of what she's billing, she's invoicing every
What I
month.
invoice them for. My average client is not a huge practice. They're smaller private practices. So the invoice that I invoice to them is average of 2,200 per
client.
doctor. Yeah.
So 2,200 times 18. Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I guess everybody can do the math on that. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kathryn. We're right at the end of the webinar here. Appreciate your time. Would you be open to, if anybody wanted to maybe chat with you a little bit more one-on-one?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you being on here. Thank you so much. You're free to go at this point.
Well, thank you, everybody. Good luck to you.
We appreciate you being on, Kathryn.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, Kathryn.